child-sized body. She does not cry. She does not apologize. She does not look scared. She looks calm, like breaking things is just how you test the world. Her father sits across from her in a suit that costs more than most people make in a month, and still he looks defeated, shoulders heavy, jaw clenched, like he has been losing this fight for years. The manager starts to rush over, face red, ready to explode. A couple of customers reach for their phones, hungry for drama. Someone whispers, "There she goes again." But Aaliyah does not flinch. Aaliyah is 23, black, in a plain waitress uniform and shoes with tired soles. She has bills in her pocket and exhaustion in her bones, yet she moves with a calm that does not beg for permission. She kneels, not like a servant, but like a person choosing her own level. She picks up a piece of the sandwich, studies the edge, then looks up at Lily, steady, quiet, human. "You are right," Aaliyah says. "That edge is darker." Lily blinks. Just once. Like nobody has ever agreed with her, without fear. Aaliyah stays at the girl's eye level. No yelling, no pleading, no performance. Just truth and boundaries. Then she lets the room feel the silence, lets Lily feel it too. And the first word that would change everything was no. After the plate shattered, Aaliyah did what she always does. She cleaned up the mess and swallowed the noise inside her chest. Because in her world, drama is a luxury. You do not get to fall apart in public when your rent is due in 3 days and your refrigerator is already half empty. Her paycheck lands on Friday and disappears by Friday night. Rent, bus pass, a stack of pharmacy receipts folded in her wallet like bad luck. On the kitchen counter sits a yellow envelope from the landlord. Not a threat yet. Just a reminder, late again and we will start the process. Aaliyah reads it, exhales, and slides it under a cereal box like hiding it can buy her time. She keeps a folded $2 bill in her pocket for emergencies, but lately even that feels like a lie. When her shift ends, she does not go home to rest. She goes to the back room, washes her hands until the coffee smell finally fades, and checks her phone like it is a heartbeat monitor. One missed call could mean her mama is having another bad night. Another attack of breath that turns a living room into a clinic. Another refill she cannot afford, because the copay does not care how hard you work. Aaliyah lives in a small apartment on the edge of the city, the kind of place where the heat clicks on only when it feels like it, and the hallway lights flicker like they are tired too. She shares one bedroom with her little brother, Malik, 12 years old, too quiet for his age because he has learned how to listen for problems. Their mama sleeps on the couch, wrapped in a thin blanket, oxygen machine humming soft in the dark. Some nights she coughs so hard Aaliyah sits up and counts the breaths, whispering little prayers under her breath. Not because she thinks prayer pays bills, but because it keeps her steady. In the morning, Aaliyah wakes before the sun. She makes oatmeal with the last of the milk, presses a kiss to her mama's forehead, and nudges Malik awake with a joke that barely lands. Then she ties her hair back, smooths her uniform, and slides her feet into the same pair of shoes that have carried her through too many miles. The soles are worn smooth. She tells herself she will buy new ones soon. Then she looks at the numbers in her notebook and knows the math by heart. And the math is cruel. At the cafe, tips are a gamble. One table leaves $20 and calls her sweetheart. The next leaves nothing and acts like she is invisible. On slow mornings, a manager cuts hours like it is nothing, like time is not food, like time is not rent. Aaliyah still says, "Yes, ma'am." "Yes, sir." She still refills coffee. She still wipes the counter until it shines. Pride does not pay the light bill. And when the dinner rush finally dies, she does not clock out into freedom. She changes into a hoodie, grabs her worn backpack, and rides the bus across town to night school. Psychology. Not because she wants to sound smart, but because she wants language for pain. She has lived around anger her whole life, and she refuses to believe it is all evil. She wants to understand what breaks people, what heals them, what makes a child throw plates like grenades and still look empty afterward. Most nights, Aaliyah studies at the kitchen table while Malik does homework beside her, both of them pretending the world is stable. She underlines sentences, highlights words, and then stares at the ceiling when the numbers in her head will not stop. Tuition, rent, food, medicine, gas. Everything costs something, and she is always one bad day away from losing it all. So when James Harrington walked in with that little girl and that cold energy, Aaliyah did not just see a difficult child. She saw a moment that could get her fired if she handled it wrong. She could feel the manager watching. She could feel her own body begging her to play it safe. But Aaliyah has never had the luxury of playing it safe. If she loses this job, she does not just lose money, she loses home. James Harrington did not enter the morning light cafe like a man looking for breakfast. He entered like a man looking for air. The bell above the door gave its little cheerful ring, but the room did not brighten. It tightened. Aaliyah felt it before she even looked up. The shift in the oxygen, the way conversations lowered by half a notch. People in that part of Chicago knew faces from the magazine racks at the grocery store. They knew the kind of wealth that showed up in business sections and charity galas. Harrington was that kind of name. Billionaire, investor, the man who could buy a building and rename it by lunch. But the man standing in the doorway did not look like the photographs. In the photos, he was always sharp, smiling, untouchable. Today, his suit still fit perfectly, but it hung on him like armor he forgot to fasten. His eyes were rim-tired, as if sleep had stopped visiting his house. His jaw was clenched, not with arrogance, but with the kind of pressure you get when you're trying not to break in public. Behind him came the little girl. Lily moved like a spark in dry grass. 10 years old, small body, big storm. Her hair was pulled back tight, every strand controlled, like even her scalp was not allowed to be messy. Her uniform was crisp, expensive, and too perfect for a child. The way she walked said one thing clearly: do not touch me, do not talk to me, do not breathe too loud around me. Aaliyah watched the way Lily scanned the room. Not curious, not shy, tactical. She clocked exits. She clocked faces. She clocked the manager behind the counter like a threat. And when her eyes landed on Aaliyah, they did not soften. They tested. James spoke quietly, table for two. His voice was gentle, but it sounded used up, like he had spent all his strength on trying to make peace at home. Aaliyah led them to a corner booth, the one with the least foot traffic, the one where people usually ask for privacy. James slid in like he wanted to disappear into the vinyl seat. Lily did not sit, so much as claim space. She pressed her fingers to the tabletop, eyes sharp. Then she began. The seat is wet. That light is buzzing. That air vent smells like dust. Each complaint landed clean and confident, like a lawyer presenting evidence. James answered with the same tired rhythm. A sigh, a soft no, a please. He did not argue. He did not correct. He looked down at his hands, as if staring hard enough might make the moment pass faster. Most people in the cafe would have read it as a spoiled rich kid acting out. Aaliyah did not. She had served plenty of spoiled. Spoiled was loud and careless. Spoiled wanted attention. This was different. This was precision. Lily was not throwing words around. She was placing them. One problem, then another, building a staircase that led to the same exit every time. Adults frustrated, staff offended, her father ashamed, and the whole table clearing out without her having to say the real thing out loud. I want to leave. Aaliyah recognized it because she knew that move. She had seen it in school hallways, in family kitchens, in children who learned early that the fastest way to feel safe is to make sure nobody gets close enough to hurt you first. If you control the room cannot control you. And when Lily glanced up again, searching for panic, Aaliyah gave her nothing. She kept her voice steady. She kept her face calm. She offered choices, not apologies. She did not beg. She did not flinch. She simply stood there with her notepad, like a lighthouse that does not move for storms. James finally looked up, startled by the silence Aaliyah created. For a second his eyes held relief, then guilt, then something that looked like hope he did not dare to touch. And the moment James asked for coffee with a voice that sounded like surrender, Aaliyah knew this was not a simple table. This was a wound. Aaliyah understood it in one clean thought. Lily was not hungry for food. She was hungry for control. The booth was clean, the table wiped, the diner smelling like butter and burnt coffee. But Lily did not come to eat. She came to run the room. She pressed 2 fingers to the vinyl seat, then pulled her hand back like it had bitten her. The seat is wet. James barely looked up. It is not wet, Lily. Please. Aaliyah leaned in and checked with the back of her knuckles. Dry. She did not argue with the child. She did not argue with the billionaire either. She grabbed a fresh cloth, wiped the seat anyway, and said, "All good now. You want a booster cushion, or you want the corner seat instead?" Lily blinked. She had expected panic. She got options. Then she tilted her chin toward the ceiling. That light is buzzing. It is giving me a headache. I cannot eat under that. The bulb really was buzzing, a thin electric whine most people ignored. Aaliyah heard it, and she respected it. But she did not surrender to it. In her head, she remembered one simple rule from night class. When people feel unsafe, they test a room until someone proves a room is steady. "I can switch you to another booth," Aaliyah said, "or I can ask my manager to turn it off. If he says no, then you can keep this booth, or you can leave. Those are the choices." Lily glanced at James, waiting for him to override her, waiting for him to buy her comfort with a look. James did nothing. His hands were folded tight. Aaliyah walked 2 steps and tapped the light switch on the wall. The buzzing softened, then stopped. She did not make it a victory. She just came back with the same calm face and said, "Better." Lily did not say thank you. She just moved to the next test. Her eyes swept the room, counting exits, measuring faces, hunting for the first adult who would blink. Aaliyah did not. James stared at Aaliyah like she had just spoken a language nobody else in his world used. Not fear, not flattery. Structure. Lily reached for the water and held it up like evidence. "This tastes like metal. Are you trying to poison me now?" A cook paused mid-flip. A couple at the counter went quiet. The manager took 1 step forward, ready to apologize his way out of trouble. Aaliyah lifted one hand, not rude, just steady, and kept her voice low, so Lily had to listen instead of perform. "It is tap water," she said. "If you want bottled, I can bring bottled. If you do not want either, that is fine too. But I cannot bring water from Iceland. I do not have it." Lily waited for the begging, the promise, the surrender. It did not come. Aaliyah stood there with her pen, eyes level with Lily, not towering, not shrinking. She was not angry. She was present, like she was saying, "I see you, and I am not afraid of you." And in that moment, Lily saw it too. This woman was not going to trade her dignity for peace. "So what can I get you to eat?" Aaliyah asked, like the accusations were just noise. Lily leaned back, testing again. "Grilled cheese, whole wheat, aged cheddar. No American. Crust cut off. Cut into squares, not triangles. And if there's one brown spot, I am sending it back." Aaliyah wrote every word down without the fake smile adults wore when they were trying not to break. She just nodded. "Done." James swallowed. "Just coffee for me," he said, voice hollow. Aaliyah looked at him for a beat, the way you look at a man who forgot how to ask for help. Then she said, "Coffee, got it?" And she walked away. James exhaled slowly. He had watched therapists and nannies fall apart in front of his daughter. He had watched Lily learn that adults could be pushed like buttons. Lily pushed again. "I want the water we have at home. The spring water." Aaliyah returned with bottled water. "Set it down," and said the same thing like a boundary and a blessing. "We do not have that. Bottled, tap, or nothing." The room waited for impact. Instead, Lily just stared. She had finally met an adult who did not flinch. For the first time in years, the test did not end with an adult running away. It ended with an adult standing still. 10 minutes later, Aaliyah came back with a plate like it was a peace offering and a boundary at the same time. The grilled cheese was exactly what Lily demanded. Whole wheat, aged cheddar, crust off, cut into neat squares. The steam rose slow. The butter smell hit the table. And for a moment the diner felt normal again. Fork scraped. A radio hummed low. Even James looked like he remembered how to breathe. Lily did not eat right away. She inspected. She flipped a square over with 2 fingers, like a jeweler checking a diamond. She leaned in and sniffed it. She watched Aaliyah with the cold patience of a kid who had learned one thing too early in life. If I push hard enough, adults crack. Then it happened. Lily's arm swung fast and flat across the table. Plate, sandwich, water. Everything launched like she was clearing a chessboard. The antique plate hit the floor first. The sound was sharp, expensive, final. It shattered into 100 pieces, and the whole diner snapped into silence. A cup rolled under a booth. Ice skittered across the tiles. Someone at the counter whispered, "Oh my God." James flinched like he got punched. His shoulders collapsed. He stared at the mess, then at his daughter, then down at his hands like he was ashamed to own them. "I am sorry," he said, not loud, not dramatic, just tired. So sorry." The manager stormed out from behind the counter, face red, jaw tight, already halfway to the kind of shouting that makes a child feel powerful and makes a room feel unsafe. Aaliyah lifted one hand, palm out, and he froze. Not because she was his boss, because something in her voice said, "Do not feed this." Aaliyah did not rush to clean. She did not rush to apologize. She moved slower, like she was lowering the temperature in the room. She knelt down, right there on the tile, bringing herself eye level with Lily. Then she picked up one small piece of the sandwich, not the biggest, not the easiest to defend. She turned it in her fingers and looked at the edge. "You are right," she said quietly. The words landed like a soft door closing. Lily blinked. James looked up. The manager stopped breathing. "This corner is a little darker than the other side." Aaliyah continued. "That is on me. No excuses. No lecture. No performance. Just truth." Lily stared like she had never seen an adult take a hit without swinging back. For years, the pattern was simple. She pushed. They yelled. They begged. They left. Control stayed with her, because chaos was the only thing she trusted. Aaliyah set the piece down and kept her voice gentle. "But I have a question." Lily narrowed her eyes. "What?" Aaliyah glanced at the broken plate, then back at Lily, like they were reviewing a play. That throw, was it a 10 out of 10, or more like a 7? The plate got good distance. I will give you that. But the water splash was messy, not very controlled. A few people let out a shock laugh they tried to swallow. The manager looked offended on Lily's behalf. James stared, caught between fear and hope. Lily did not know what to do with it. Aaliyah was not scared. Aaliyah was not impressed. Aaliyah was not cruel. She was just present, like a referee who refused to get played. "I am just saying," Aaliyah added, still kneeling, "if you're going to make a scene, make it epic. Predictable is boring, and you do not look boring to me." For a split second, the storm in Lily's face flickered. Not peace, not softness, just something tiny and human that tried to sneak out and then hide. The smallest almost smile, like a light turning on behind a locked door. Lily snapped her mouth into a straight line. "Shut up," she muttered. "Fair enough," Aaliyah said, and she started picking up the pieces, calm hands, steady breath. No drama, no victory lap. Just a woman cleaning a mess without making a child feel like the mess. Then she looked up again. Same level, same tone. Lily swallowed, eyes locked on hers. The whole diner held its breath. Aaliyah held hers too, not blinking, not backing away. "Are you still hungry, Lily? Or was that just for show?" By the time the dinner rush finally slowed, the air in Morning Light Cafe felt different, not just quieter, like the whole room had watched a lightning strike and was still waiting to hear the thunder. Aaliyah stayed late, wiping tables and stacking chairs on autopilot. Her hands moved, but her mind kept replaying the crash of that plate. The way Lily's eyes dared the world to flinch first, and the way James Harrington looked like a man carrying a weight nobody could see. Her manager, Rick, called her into the back office. Not loud, not angry, nervous. Rick never sounded nervous around waitresses. The office was small and stale, lit by a buzzing strip light. Rick shut the door, then held out a scrap of paper with a phone number written in clean, professional handwriting. "Aaliyah, listen," he said, rubbing his forehead. "I got a call. From James Harrington's assistant." Aaliyah froze. "Why would he call you?" Rick swallowed. "They said you need to call this number. Now." They said do not make him wait. That last part landed like a threat wrapped in a polite voice. Aaliyah stared at the number. She wanted to ask 100 questions. Was she in trouble? Was this about the plate? Was this about Lily? But Rick only shook his head like he had no answers, just fear. At home, her apartment felt smaller than usual. The heat barely worked. Bills sat on the counter like they owned the place. Her psychology textbook was open on the bed, but the words would not stay in her head. She closed her door, sat down, and dialed before her courage could leak out. It rang once. A crisp voice answered, calm and controlled. Miss Jackson, this is Dana Pierce, executive assistant to Mr. James Harrington. Thank you for calling. Aaliyah sat up straighter, without meaning to. Yes, ma'am. I was told to call. You were? Dana said. No warmth, no cruelty, just certainty. Mr. Harrington would like to meet with you tonight. Aaliyah blinked. Tonight, I have work in the morning. I have school. A car will pick you up in 1 hour. Dana continued, like Aaliyah had not spoken. Please be ready. Bring a photo ID. You will be returned home after the meeting. Aaliyah swallowed. Is this optional? There was a pause. Not long. Just long enough for Aaliyah to feel the shift in power. It is not an invitation, Miss Jackson, Dana said. It is a request from Mr. Harrington. He does not make requests lightly. The line clicked dead. Aaliyah stared at her phone like it had just changed her life without asking permission. She looked around her room. Thrift store shoes by the door. Rent notice on the fridge. A life built on choices she barely controlled. And now someone had just removed choice from the equation. She changed anyway. Clean jeans, a simple sweater, hair pulled back. Not to impress. To protect herself. She whispered, stay calm, stay smart, stay you. Exactly 1 hour later, a black luxury car rolled up outside her building. The driver opened the back door and nodded. No small talk, no smile, just quiet, practiced certainty. Inside, the leather seat was smooth and cold. The car smelled like clean air and money. As they pulled away, Aaliyah watched her street fade in the rear window. She thought about how rent could evict you for being human, and how the city never cared if your heart was good. It only cared if your payment cleared. They stopped at a tower of glass and steel that looked too perfect to be real. Security checked her name like she was expected. The lobby was silent in that controlled way rich places are silent. Polished stone, soft lighting, no laughter. The driver led her to a private elevator. No buttons. He tapped a card. The door slid shut. As it rose, her ears popped. Her heartbeat did not. She saw a reflection in the mirrored wall, eyes wide, jaw set. She forced a slow breath. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Cold air hit her first, like the room itself did not trust her. A woman in a dark suit waited just outside, tablet in hand. Dana. Same voice, same precision, now with eyes that measured Aaliyah in one sweep. This way, she said. The hallway carpet muted every step. Art hung on the walls like a warning. This place was not built for comfort. It was built for control. Dana stopped at a tall door and opened it without knocking. Inside was a vast office, all glass and clean lines. No family photos. No clutter. Just space and power. By the window stood James Harrington, hands in his pockets, staring out like he was trying to outthink the whole city. He turned when he heard her, and for a second he did not look rich. He looked tired. His tie was perfect, but his eyes were not. They held the same haunted look Aaliyah saw back at the cafe. Like sleep had stopped being an option. Aaliyah stepped in. The door closed softly behind her. Gentle sound, heavy meaning. And in that moment, Aaliyah understood the truth. This was not an invitation. It was a decision already made. By the time the dinner rush finally slowed, the air in Morning Light Cafe felt different, not just quieter, like the whole room had watched a lightning strike and was still waiting to hear the thunder. Aaliyah stayed late, wiping tables and stacking chairs on autopilot. Her hands moved, but her mind kept replaying the crash of that plate. The way Lily's eyes dared the world to flinch first, and the way James Harrington looked like a man carrying a weight nobody could see. Her manager, Rick, called her into the back office. Not loud, not angry, nervous. Rick never sounded nervous around waitresses. The office was small and stale, lit by a buzzing strip light. Rick shut the door, then held out a scrap of paper with a phone number written in clean, professional handwriting. "Aaliyah, listen," he said, rubbing his forehead. "I got a call from James Harrington's assistant." Aaliyah froze. Why would he call you? Rick swallowed. "They said you need to call this number. Now." They said do not make him wait. That last part landed like a threat wrapped in a polite voice. Aaliyah stared at the number. She wanted to ask 100 questions. Was she in trouble? Was this about the plate? Was this about Lily? But Rick only shook his head like he had no answers, just fear. At home, her apartment felt smaller than usual. The heat barely worked. Bills sat on the counter like they owned the place. Her psychology textbook was open on the bed, but the words would not stay in her head. She closed her door, sat down, and dialed before her courage could leak out. It rang once. A crisp voice answered, calm and controlled. "Miss Jackson, this is Dana Pierce, executive assistant to Mr. James Harrington. Thank you for calling." Aaliyah sat up straighter, without meaning to. "Yes, ma'am. I was told to call." "You were?" Dana said. No warmth, no cruelty, just certainty. "Mr. Harrington would like to meet with you tonight." Aaliyah blinked. "Tonight? I have work in the morning. I have school. A car will pick you up in 1 hour." Dana continued, like Aaliyah had not spoken. "Please be ready. Bring a photo ID. You will be returned home after the meeting." Aaliyah swallowed. "Is this optional?" There was a pause. Not long. Just long enough for Aaliyah to feel the shift in power. "It is not an invitation, Miss Jackson," Dana said. "It is a request from Mr. Harrington. He does not make requests lightly." The line clicked dead. Aaliyah stared at her phone like it had just changed her life without asking permission. She looked around her room. Thrift store shoes by the door. Rent notice on the fridge. A life built on choices she barely controlled. And now someone had just removed choice from the equation. She changed anyway. Clean jeans, a simple sweater, hair pulled back. Not to impress. To protect herself. She whispered, "Stay calm. Stay smart. Stay you." Exactly 1 hour later, a black luxury car rolled up outside her building. The driver opened the back door and nodded. No small talk. No smile. Just quiet, practiced certainty. Inside, the leather seat was smooth and cold. The car smelled like clean air and money. As they pulled away, Aaliyah watched her street fade in the rear window. She thought about how rent could evict you for being human, and how the city never cared if your heart was good. It only cared if your payment cleared. They stopped at a tower of glass and steel that looked too perfect to be real. Security checked her name like she was expected. The lobby was silent in that controlled way rich places are silent. Polished stone, soft lighting, no laughter. The driver led her to a private elevator. No buttons. He tapped a card. The door slid shut. As it rose, her ears popped. Her heartbeat did not. She saw a reflection in the mirrored wall, eyes wide, jaw set. She forced a slow breath. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Cold air hit her first, like the room itself did not trust her. A woman in a dark suit waited just outside, tablet in hand. Dana. Same voice, same precision, now with eyes that measured Aaliyah in one sweep. "This way," she said. The hallway carpet muted every step. Art hung on the walls like a warning. This place was not built for comfort. It was built for control. Dana stopped at a tall door and opened it without knocking. Inside was a vast office, all glass and clean lines. No family photos. No clutter. Just space and power. By the window stood James Harrington, hands in his pockets, staring out like he was trying to outthink the whole city. He turned when he heard her, and for a second he did not look rich. He looked tired. His tie was perfect, but his eyes were not. They held the same haunted look Aaliyah saw back at the cafe. Like sleep had stopped being an option. Aaliyah stepped in. The door closed softly behind her. Gentle sound, heavy meaning, and in that moment, Aaliyah understood the truth. This was not an invitation. It was a decision already made. The office did not feel like a room meant for living. It felt like a room meant for winning. Glass walls, a skyline that looked like it belonged to somebody else. Aaliyah stood near the door with her hands folded. James Harrington did not sit behind a desk like a king. He stood by the window like a man who could not escape his own thoughts. When he spoke, his voice was low. "Miss Jackson," he said, "thank you for coming." His eyes held hers, not in the way men size you up, but in the way desperate people search for one last answer. Aaliyah kept her chin up. "I was told a car was coming," she said. "I did not exactly have a choice." He let out a short, tired breath that almost counted as a laugh. "No," he said, "you did not. I saw what you did today," he said, "with my daughter. You did not beg. You did not bark. You did not flinch. You did not treat her like a monster. And you did not treat her like a fragile doll either. You treated her like a person making a choice." Aaliyah felt her throat tighten. "I was just trying to get through my shift," she said. James shook his head. "No, you did what the people I pay have not been able to do." He looked down at his hands. "I can solve billion-dollar problems. I can make phone calls and watch numbers move. I can buy time. But I cannot reach my own child." There was a pale mark on his ring finger where a band used to sit. The kind of absence money cannot fill. Aaliyah noticed it and looked away, because grief is private even when you are rich. And it showed. The word landed heavy, like he was admitting he had lost her somewhere and did not know how to find the way back. "Nannies, therapists, schools," he said. "They come in with degrees and plans, and she destroys them. Some fear Lily. Some fear me. Either way, she smells like smoke." Aaliyah was thinking about her own life. Rent bills, night classes. The way one missed paycheck could turn a roof into a memory. "I am not a professional," she said. "I am a waitress. I study psychology at night, but I am not licensed. I am not trained for this." James nodded as if he'd already heard that and decided it would not stop him. "I do not want you as a nanny," he said. "Not staff. Not someone who follows orders and keeps quiet. I want you as what you were today. A presence, a companion. Someone who is not afraid to tell her the truth." Aaliyah swallowed. The truth was, she was afraid, not of Lily, of getting pulled into something she could not survive, of being blamed for what power refuses to face. Then he said the number, 350,000 a year. Her lungs forgot how to work for a second. That was breathing room. That was her tuition covered. That was her mother not having to stretch pills. That was a life where she could finally sleep. "I will also pay your education," James added. "Any program you choose. Graduate school. Whatever you need. I do not want to rent your kindness, Miss Jackson. I want the one thing my money cannot buy. Someone who actually sees my daughter." Aaliyah stared at the city beyond the glass and thought about how many times she had been told to know her place. Now a billionaire was asking her to step into his world like it was simple. "What happens when she turns on me tomorrow?" Aaliyah asked. "When she decides I am just another adult to chase away?" James answered fast. "She will try. She is good at it, but you will not be alone. If you call, I come. If you say dinner, I show up. No excuses." "I cannot outsource my daughter," he said, and the shame in his voice made the room feel smaller. Aaliyah felt something shift. Not trust yet, but possibility. Still, her spine stayed straight. "If I do this," she said, "I am not your servant, and I am not your scapegoat. I will not be the person you can fire when the story gets messy. I am a person spending time with a person. That is it." James held her gaze, then nodded once. "Good," he said. "That is exactly what I want." "Why me?" she whispered. James answered without looking away. "Because you are the first person she looked at today without trying to destroy. Because you called her predictable. Because you did not act like she was too much. You acted like she was smart." Aaliyah remembered it. That tiny almost smile, so fast it could have been a trick of light. She nodded once, like she was admitting the truth to herself. James stepped closer, not invading her space, just closing the distance with honesty. I am asking for help, he said. Not because you are perfect, because you are real. And for one quiet second, the richest man in Chicago looked like a father in a storm, holding out a hand and hoping someone would pull him back to shore. Then a new voice cut through the room, cold as a glass. James, you cannot be serious. Aaliyah turned. A woman stepped out of the shadows near an interior door, tall and polished, dressed like she belonged in headlines. Her eyes traveled over Aaliyah from head to toe, and the look on her face said one thing clearly. Dirt. Victoria did not enter the room like a guest. She entered like an inspection. The door behind her closed softly, but the air changed hard. Perfume, expensive and sharp. Heels that did not hurry, because people who believe they own the space never rush. She looked like a headline. Tall, polished, dressed in a designer coat that probably cost more than Aaliyah's car. Her posture said she belonged here. Her eyes said Aaliyah did not. Those eyes slid over Aaliyah like a stain on a white carpet. A waitress, she said, the word shaped like a laugh. James, we are talking about a child, not a stray you picked up off the street. Because she smiled at you. James stiffened. Victoria, he said, controlled. This does not concern you. Victoria turned her head slowly, still smiling. Lily is family. That concerns me. And it concerns the Harrington name. She looked back at Aaliyah. Tell me, what exactly do you think you can offer my niece? Better coffee service. A few cute jokes. A sob story. Aaliyah felt the heat rise, familiar and old. In every cheap apartment hallway, in every job interview, in every place where people decided who mattered, she had met this tone. It was not just disrespect. It was a warning. Stay in your place, or we will remind you. She did not snap. She did not shrink. She let the silence stretch long enough to make the words echo back to the person who spoke them. You are right, Aaliyah said, voice steady. I am a waitress. I am not from your world. I do not have your kind of last name. I do not have your kind of safety. I count tips like they're oxygen. I choose between groceries and gas some weeks. So no, I am not here to play rich people games. Victoria lifted her brows like she had won. Exactly. Aaliyah nodded once. But here is what you are missing. The qualified people you hired. They came in trying to prove something. To you, to James, to the money. Lily can smell performance like smoke. Today, she was not hungry for food. She was hungry for control. She wanted to see who would fold first, who would panic first, who would beg first. Because when adults beg a child, the child feels powerful for a second, and then she feels ashamed for needing that power at all. Victoria scoffed. Do not pretend you understand her. I am not pretending. Aaliyah said, I am paying attention. That girl is brilliant. Not because she can break things. Because she can read people faster than they can read themselves. She throws out complaint. The seat is wet. The light is buzzing. The water tastes like metal. And she watches what fear looks like on an adult face. She collects it. She stacks it. She uses it to make sure nobody gets close enough to leave a bruise she cannot control. James looked up at that, like the sentence hurt and healed at the same time. Victoria stepped closer. This job will chew you up. And when you fail, Lily will be worse. Then what? Aaliyah held her gaze. Then I fail, Aaliyah said, but I fail standing up. I did not fail on my knees, because what I will not do is be treated like hired silence. I will not be a prop in a family drama. I will not be another adult who shows up for a paycheck and disappears the moment things get hard. Victoria laughed, short and bright. Conditions. James, she is a waitress. James raised a hand. Let her speak. Aaliyah lifted one finger. One. I am not a nanny, not staff, not a servant people can order around. I am a companion. I am a consistent adult in Lily's day. If you hire me, you are not buying a person. You are paying for time, and you are paying for honesty. 2. When I am with Lily, you stay away, Victoria. Not because I fear you, because Lily is watching. If you walk in and turn the room into a power game, she will turn it into a war, and the child will be the one bleeding. You can call it family. I call it pressure. And she has had enough pressure to crush a grown man. Victoria's face flushed. How dare you? Aaliyah kept her voice even. 3. James, you do not get to hire me and disappear. If I call, you answer. If I say you need to be at dinner, you show up. Not for me, for her. You cannot outsource love. You cannot buy your way out of fatherhood. If you are not willing to be involved, do not waste my time or hers. The room went quiet. James stared at her, jaw tight, eyes glossy with something he fought to hide. For the first time, Aaliyah saw a billionaire look like a father who was scared he had already missed his chance. Victoria snapped, "This is insane. You are letting a stranger dictate your home." She turned to James, voice sharpening. She wants power. She wants leverage. She will ruin you. Aaliyah did not argue. She just stood there, steady, because she knew Lily was not the only one in that family who needed someone to stop flinching. James exhaled. Then he did not get angry. He smiled, tired and real, like a man who finally found a door that would open. He looked at Aaliyah and asked, softly, "When can you start?" He sounded hopeful. The car dropped Aaliyah at the front of a building that did not look like a home. It looked like a statement. Glass, stone, and perfect lines that made you feel small before you even stepped inside. The driver opened her door without speaking. The wind off the lake cut through her coat, and for a second she missed the greasy warmth of the cafe. The noise, the clatter, the kind of place where people at least left fingerprints on the world. Inside, everything was quiet in a way that felt expensive, not peaceful, controlled. Aaliyah walked through doors tall enough for a church, and the air smelled like lemon polish and money. The floors reflected her shoes like a mirror. The ceiling lights were soft and flawless, like nobody here ever wanted a shadow to show up uninvited. A staff member greeted her with a smile that did not reach the eyes, then disappeared as if she had never been there. Aaliyah looked around and felt in her chest. There were no photos, no crooked frames, no magnets on a fridge, no kid drawings on the wall, no war mess. It was a museum built to honor a life that was not being lived. Even the silence felt practiced, like the house had been trained to hold its breath. Then Lily appeared at the top of the stairs. 10 years old, still, sharp, school uniform pressed, hair pulled tight. She stared down at Aaliyah like she was deciding if she should even bother. Lily did not say hello. She did not ask why. She just looked, long enough to make most adults start talking too much. Aaliyah did not fill the air. She simply lifted a paper bag. "I brought you something," she said, calm. "Grilled cheese. Whole wheat, aged cheddar, crusts off, cut into squares. Not too brown." She said like a weather report, like it was not a favor, just a fact. Lily blinked. "I am not hungry." "Okay," Aaliyah said. She stepped past a grand staircase and sat down on a modern bench in the entrance hall, the kind of furniture that looked pretty and felt wrong. She pulled out the sandwich and took a bite. Lily stiffened. "You're not allowed to eat here." Aaliyah chewed slowly, then nodded like she had heard a rule on a menu. "Where am I allowed to eat?" "In the kitchen, with the staff." Aaliyah looked around the empty space. "This is a house," she said, "not a courtroom. If there's a rule, it should make sense. That rule does not." Then she took another bite. "If you are not hungry, you do not have to eat. But I am not going to pretend I am invisible." For a moment, Lily did not know what weapon to pick up. Silence had always worked for her. Rules had always worked for her. Adults either begged, or they got angry, or they tried to bribe her with sweet voices. Aaliyah did none of that. She sat there like time belonged to her too. So Lily tried a different test. She pointed at the bench. "That is not for you." Aaliyah shrugged. "Then it should not be here." She glanced around. "Everything in this place is here to look correct, not to feel human." Lily flinched at the word human, like it was too close to something she did not want to touch. She turned away, marching up the stairs as if leaving first meant winning. From above, her voice cut down like a blade. "You can sit there all you want. I am not talking to you." Aaliyah kept reading her psychology notes. She worked a crossword on her phone. She watched the staff move like ghosts, quiet, careful, trained to leave no trace. She waited, not with hope, with patience. The kind you learn when you have had to survive people leaving. 3 hours passed. Lily never came back down. That was the point. Make the adult feel useless. Make the adult quit. Make the adult disappear before they could matter. At dinner, the dining room was enormous. A table big enough for 30 people and two place settings far apart like a cold joke. Somewhere on a higher floor, James was on another call, solving another problem for another stranger. In this room, his daughter sat alone with her anger. Lily sat at one end, Aaliyah at the other. The food was perfect and joyless. Lily did not look up. She did not speak. She wanted the silence to swallow the room. Aaliyah did not fight the silence. She used it. She ate slowly, like she belonged at the table. Then she asked one simple question, not as a trap, as a bridge. Is this place lonely? Lily froze. She hated that question because it did not accuse. It noticed. Aaliyah set her fork down gently. You do not have to like me, she said. You do not have to trust me. But I am going to show up the same way every day. Not to control you, not to fix you, just to stay long enough that you do not have to keep proving you can make people leave. Lily did not answer, but her shoulders lowered just a fraction. It was not softness. It was exhaustion. And that was the truth Aaliyah finally understood in this mansion that felt like a museum. Lily was not a monster. Lily was a kid living in a house with no warmth, where grief had been polished into silence. Aaliyah was not trying to fix Lily. She was trying to stay. The days started to stack up the same way, like clean plates in a cabinet. Lily tested. Aaliyah stayed. Some mornings Lily barely spoke. Other afternoons, she came in swinging with words sharp enough to cut through silk. Your shoes look sad, Lily said one day, eyes flicking down to Aaliyah's worn sneakers like she was inspecting evidence. You dress like you do not belong in this house. Aaliyah glanced down, then nodded. They are not designer, she said, but they have carried me through 2 jobs, night class, and a winter I did not think I would survive. That is not sad. That is loyal. Lily blinked, annoyed that the insult did not land. She tried again. You are not even smart. You are just stubborn. Probably, Aaliyah said, with the kind of calm that made a child recheck the room. I am definitely failing statistics, but I can spot a lie fast. And when you call everyone stupid, that sounds like a lie you tell yourself so nobody asks what you really feel. Lily pushed back from the table. I do not feel anything. That was a loud move, Aaliyah said softly, not chasing her. Loud moves make noise. Smart moves change the board. Lily paused at the doorway, shoulders tight. Aaliyah kept her voice gentle. When I was a kid, I was loud too, she said. After my mom left, I got mean, because mean was easier than sad. A neighbor taught me chess and used to say, loud move, not smart move. Find a smart move. She never tried to fix me. She just stayed. Lily did not answer, but her eyes did not roll either. That alone was progress. Later, Lily tried a different trap. She turned on an app that spoke in fast French, then looked up with a cruel little smile. It said people like you should stay in the kitchen. Aaliyah listened, then shrugged. My French is terrible, she said, but I heard the tone. You want me to feel small. That is a loud move. Smart move would be telling me what you're scared of, without the costume. Lily's face flushed. Shut up. Fair enough, Aaliyah said. Then she sat on the floor in the entrance hall again and read her textbook, like the marble was a front porch. When Lily stormed past, Aaliyah did not look up. The message was quiet and consistent. I am not here to win. I am here to be real. The first micro win was not a hug. It was a question. Why do you keep coming back? Lily asked one evening, voice flat like she did not care. Aaliyah did not answer fast. Because when people leave you enough times, you start leaving first, she said. It feels like control, but it is just loneliness with a helmet on. Lily stared at her hands, then muttered, I do not need anyone. Aaliyah nodded. You might not, but you deserve someone who will not run when you get loud. And for the first time, Lily did not slam a door. She walked away, slower. A week later, something shifted. Not in Lily, in the air. At dinner, the long table was set for 3, not 2. The chair at the head was pulled out, not untouched like a museum display. and James Harrington walked in before the food got cold. He looked exhausted, tie loosened, phone still in his hand like it was glued there. But he sat down anyway. He did not talk about markets or meetings. He asked Lily how school was. It was awkward. It was clumsy. It was everything the house had been missing. Lily tested him too. "You are late." James swallowed. "I am here," he said, eyes shining with guilt. "I am here." Aaliyah watched the moment land. Not like fireworks, like rain soaking into dry ground. Lily did not smile, but she ate 2 bites more than usual. Nights became a pattern. Lily would throw a jab. Aaliyah would catch it and set it back on the table as something softer. James would sit through the discomfort instead of escaping into work. The staff started to notice. The house felt less like a showroom and more like a place where people could make mistakes and still stay. Then one night James' phone buzzed, and he stood up like he might disappear again. Aaliyah did not raise her voice. She just looked at him and said, "Smart move." James stared at the screen, then put the phone face down. Lily watched him do it, like she was seeing proof instead of promises. Some evenings ended in silence, but it was a different silence. It had people in it. One morning, Aaliyah found a paper square on her textbook. No name, no apology, just 2 words in a child's careful handwriting. Whole wheat. That afternoon, Lily did not ask for it out loud, but she sat closer at the table. Aaliyah made it without commenting, and Lily ate in quiet, like she was practicing trust. Then one afternoon, Aaliyah wandered the upper hallway looking for a bathroom and heard something that did not belong in a house this quiet. Piano. Not polite background piano. Real piano. Fast, complicated, uneven. A mistake. Then anger. Then the same phrase again like someone was digging a tunnel with sound. Aaliyah followed it to a door cracked open, and the music that spilled out did not sound like talent. It sounded like pain. Aaliyah moved down the hallway like she was walking through a church after hours, slow, respectful, careful not to make the floor complain. The sound was coming from the end of the corridor, slipping under a door that did not belong to the everyday life of the penthouse. It was piano, but not the kind people play to impress guests. This was a child chasing a memory, missing notes, then punishing herself for it. She stopped at the crack in the door. Warm light spilled out, dust floating inside it like tiny ghosts. And there was Lily, 10 years old, sitting at a grand piano covered in a thin film of time. Her shoulders were tight, her jaw clenched, fingers moving too fast for her age, like she was trying to outrun something that could not be outrun. She hit a wrong note, cursed under her breath, then started the same phrase again. Louder, harder, as if volume could drown the ache. Aaliyah did not step in. She did not say Lily's name. She just breathed, because in that moment, she was not watching a difficult kid. She was watching a wound play music. But Lily saw her anyway, not with her eyes at first, with her whole body. The girl froze, like the air itself turned sharp. Her head snapped toward the door, and her face changed, panic rushing in so fast it looked like anger. "Get out," Lily shouted, slamming the keys with both fists. The sound was violent, not at Aaliyah, at the fear of being seen. Aaliyah lifted her hands, palms open. "Okay," she said softly. "I am sorry. I did not mean to walk in. The door was open and I heard you. That was beautiful, Lily. It was." Lily's breathing went fast. "Do not say that. You are not allowed in here. Nobody is." Her eyes were wide, the storm back, but this storm had tears hiding behind it. She reached up and yanked the heavy piano lid down like she was locking a coffin. Then she pointed at the door again, shaking. "Get out." Aaliyah backed away, one step at a time, like you would around a startled animal. "I am going," she promised. "I am going." She closed the door gently, even though her heart was pounding like she had been the one caught. Outside the door, Aaliyah pressed her back to the wallpaper and let her eyes close for 1 second. She could still hear the last wrong note ringing, like a question nobody wanted to answer. Back at the cafe, the anger she saw in people usually had a simple cause: disrespect, hunger, exhaustion. But this was different. This was grief dressed up in armor. Aaliyah felt her throat tighten because she knew that kind of armor. She had worn it before. Downstairs, James had just come in, coat still on, phone still in his hand, the tired billionaire mask sliding back into place. Aaliyah found him by the kitchen doorway and did not waste words. Lily was playing piano. She said, "Upstairs, in a room that looks like it has been locked for years." When she saw me, she panicked. James did not just react. He went pale. His hand gripped the counter like the floor might tilt. "The music room," he whispered, like the words hurt his tongue. He blinked hard, and the man who could buy anything suddenly looked like a boy who had lost something and never recovered. "That room was Rachel's," he said. "My wife, Lily's mother. Rachel was a concert pianist. That piano was her life. When she died, I could not breathe in that room anymore. So I locked it. I told myself I was protecting Lily. I thought if the house stayed quiet about Rachel, Lily would hurt less." Aaliyah shook her head, gentle but firm. "Pain does not disappear when you lock the door," she said. "It just waits in the dark until a child finds it alone." James stared at the ceiling, as if he could see the room through it. "She has been practicing," he said, voice cracking. "All this time. And I never knew." Aaliyah lowered her voice. "She is not just playing notes," she said. "She is carrying her mother with her, and it is heavy. It is not about being bad. It is about being full." James nodded once, slow. Then he started up the stairs, not as a billionaire, but as a father finally walking toward the truth. That night, the penthouse was quieter than usual. Too quiet. At dinner, Lily did not come. She did not throw a plate. She did not demand anything. She did not even insult anyone. She simply vanished behind her bedroom door and stayed there, like the music room had opened something she could not close again. And Aaliyah realized something chilling. When Lily was loud, at least she was still in the room. But that night, Lily did not explode. She disappeared. The day after that dinner, the penthouse felt colder, not because the heat was off, but because trust is a kind of warmth, and something had quietly drained out of the air. Aaliyah arrived early, like she always did, hair still damp from the bus stop mist, fingers still aching from last night's dishwater at the cafe. She carried a paper bag with Lily's favorite snack, like a peace offering to a house that never said thank you out loud. But the staff were not moving the way they usually moved. They hovered in corners, eyes down, voices lowered. The housekeeper avoided looking at her, like eye contact might pull her into the blast zone. Even the driver, a man who never changed his expression, stood too still. Maria, the housekeeper, finally spoke, barely above a whisper. "Mr. Harrington wants to see you. In the study. Miss Victoria is with him." Aaliyah felt her stomach drop, the way it used to drop when the landlord posted notices on the door back home. She walked down the hallway, every step too loud on the marble. The penthouse was so quiet she could hear her own breathing. The study doors were open. James stood behind his desk, hands braced on the wood, like it was the only thing holding him upright. His eyes were red, not from crying, from not sleeping. Victoria sat in the chair beside the window, legs crossed, a face built from concern and patience. The kind of patience predators wear. "Aaliyah," James said. His voice was flat, but it trembled underneath. "This morning, I discovered something missing." Aaliyah blinked. "Missing?" He reached into a drawer and pulled out a velvet box, empty, Rachel's necklace, her diamond collar, the one she wore on our anniversary, the one Lily used to hold when she could not sleep. The words Rachel and Lily sat in the air together like a loaded gun. "I do not understand," Aaliyah said carefully. "I have never even seen that." Victoria inhaled slowly, like she was about to deliver bad news to a patient. "I did not want to believe it either," she said, "but I found something." She held up a thin white slip of paper between two fingers. A pawn ticket. Yesterday's date. Aaliyah stared at it like it was a foreign language. "I found it in the pocket of your jacket," Victoria continued softly. "The one you left here yesterday. I called the shop. They have the necklace." For a second, the room tilted. It felt unreal, like a nightmare that borrowed real furniture. "No," Aaliyah said. "No, that is not mine. I did not take anything. I did not." James' eyes flickered. He wanted to believe her. She could see it. That was the cruelest part. He wanted to believe her, but grief makes people cling to whatever looks like proof. Aaliyah took a step forward. Check the cameras. Please, check the cameras. James exhaled through his nose, like the answer hurt him. I did. The camera in the dressing corridor was offline. Technical error. It has not recorded in 3 days. 3 days. The timing was too perfect. It was a trap built with velvet gloves. Aaliyah turned to Victoria, voice sharper now. You planted that. You put it in my jacket. Victoria widened her eyes, offended, almost laughing. Me? Why would I do that? Because you want Lily, Aaliyah said. Because you want to trust no one but you. Because you want to prove I do not belong here. Victoria tilted her head toward James, sweet and tragic. You hear how she speaks. This is what people do when they are caught. They deny, then they accuse. They spiral. Aaliyah looked back at James, desperate but steady. James, look at me. Why would I do this? Why would I risk everything when I finally got through to your daughter? His jaw tightened. He pressed his fingers to his temple, like he was trying to crush the pain into silence. Aaliyah, he said low, I am not calling the police. Relief tried to rise, but it died before it reached your chest. He continued, voice breaking. But I cannot keep you here. I have to protect Lily. Please, give me your keys. That was the moment her heart split. Not because she was losing the money, the tuition, the dream, not even because she was being accused without being accused. It was because she had been seen, for a second, truly seen, and then thrown back into the old story people tell about girls like her. The one where the help is always the suspect. The one where a black woman in a rich house is never just a person. She is a risk. Aaliyah reached into her bag. Her hands shook, but she forced him to move slow. Dignity is not loud. It is controlled. She placed the keys on the desk. Tell Lily, she whispered. Tell her I did not leave her. Tell her I tried. James swallowed hard. Aaliyah, I am sorry. Victoria did not smile. She did something worse. She looked satisfied. Aaliyah walked out past the silent staff, into the elevator that smelled like expensive cologne and betrayal. When the door slid closed, she finally let the sob hit her. Quiet, ugly, the kind that comes from fighting for a place you never owned. Back in her apartment, the air was thin and cold. Her roommates were gone. The radiator clicked like it was laughing at her. She sat on the edge of her bed in the same coat, staring at her hands like they belonged to someone else. She told herself it was over. Then the buzzer rang. Once, twice, and the third time, it sounded like a knock on fate. The buzzer kept ringing like it was mad at her. Aaliyah almost did not answer. Her eyes were swollen, her throat tight, and the apartment felt too small for the shame she carried home. She pressed the intercom. Go away. A pause. Then a small voice, sharp and steady. Open the door. It is freezing out here. Aaliyah knew that voice. She buzzed the door before her brain could stop her. Fast footsteps. A hard knock. When she opened it, Lily stood there alone. No driver, no nanny, no aunt. Just a 10-year-old with red cheeks and eyes full of fire. My dad is an idiot, Lily said. My aunt is a liar. Aaliyah blinked. Lily walked in, then stared at the tiny living room. The thin blanket on the couch, the cheap heater that barely worked. For a second, she looked younger. He believed her over you, Lily muttered. That is the dumbest thing he has ever done. Aaliyah swallowed. Lily, you should not be here. Your father will be looking for you. Let him, Lily said. I took a cab. I can find my way when I have to. I brought proof. She pulled a tablet from her backpack like it was a shield. The screen filled with folders, timestamps, camera angles. Not the mansion cameras. Smaller cameras. Hidden. My cameras, Lily said. People think I am just a kid who breaks things. They forget I am his daughter. She tapped a file. Video 1. Victorian hallway. Opening a laptop. Disabling the main security system with calm precision. Video 2. Victoria sliding a pawn ticket into Aaliyah's jacket pocket. Looking around once, then smiling like she had already won. Aaliyah felt her stomach drop. The trap she sensed was now sitting on a screen, clean and undeniable. It uploads to a private cloud, Lily said quietly. She cannot delete it. That was a smart move. Aaliyah reached for her phone. Lily stopped her. No, I already called him. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. A fist hit the door. Lily. Aaliyah opened it. James Harrington stood there, coat half on, eyes wild. He saw Lily safe and exhaled like his body remembered how to breathe. Lily held up the tablet. Sit down, Dad. Watch. James watched. His face moved from confusion to horror to a cold, silent rage. When it ended, he looked at Aaliyah. I accuse you, he said. I failed you. I let my grief turn into suspicion. I am sorry. I should have looked you in the eyes and asked what was true. I chose the easy story, and it hurt you. Aaliyah kept her voice steady, but it shook at the edges. Do not apologize with words. Apologize with what you do next. Because when you throw someone away, you teach your child that people are disposable. James nodded once, like he finally understood power means nothing without accountability. We are going back. Now, in the penthouse, Victoria was waiting, polished and confident. Her smile froze when she saw Lily holding the tablet. James did not yell. He just played the video. Victoria tried to twist the story. It did not work. Get out, James said. If you come near my daughter again, I will hand this to the police myself. Victoria left, finally afraid. After the door closed, Lily looked at her father, then at Aaliyah. Her voice was smaller. I told you, she said. Loud moves are easy. Smart moves are rare. James knelt in front of his daughter, eyes wet. I am done hiding behind money. He whispered, I am coming home for dinner. Every night. No excuses. Weeks later, the music room door was open. The dust cloth was gone. James sat at the piano, clumsy fingers finding simple notes. Lily sat beside him, correcting him, but smiling when she thought no one could see. Aaliyah watched in the doorway and felt something settle in her chest. Not a fairy tale. A beginning. Money cannot buy healing. It cannot buy trust. But seeing someone really seeing them can start a change. If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe for more and comment below. Where are you watching from? And have you ever been blamed for something you did not do?